Hi, everyone. It's Colleen Frost, and I am sitting here with Chris Carlson from Allegiance Insurance located on 14th Street in Plano, Texas. And with all of the hail damage that has come recently through, last night it came from Pilot Point, Aubrey, down through Frisco, McKinney, Allen, into Murphy, and everyone knows that Wiley took the brunt of it. I thought it was good to get some insurance advice from Chris, so I wanted to, one, thank you for having me here today.
Sure.
And I wanted to find out kind of what advice are you giving to people right now that are calling in with hail claims.
Um, okay, so first and foremost, if you don't have any immediate damage that's going to make additional damage, so a hole in your roof that's letting water in, obviously you need to get that fixed immediately. You need to get someone out right away. If you're not sure if you have damage, you think you might, my suggestion is to have a local trusted roofer come out and do an assessment of your property prior to filing a claim. That way you know if it's something that you want to do or not.
And be very leery because I know a lot of people are now knocking on doors.
Yes.
Again, really go with call your insurance provider and
Use
have them give you someone.
exactly. You want to use somebody that's local, insured. Don't use if someone knocks on your door or calls you out of the blue. Do not use that person. That's they could be fine, but chances are they're not. So you want to be really careful. There's a lot of people that'll come in for a storm and then they disappear. And so if you have a problem down the road, there's no one there to take care of that issue.
Right.
And so if you need a roofer, call someone you trust, talk to someone you trust, and get a reference to whoever it is. We can certainly help. I'm sure Colleen, you know some people that can help out with that as well. That's probably the most important thing. You have, in most cases, not every company, but in most cases, you have 12 months to file a claim from the date of a loss.
Right.
So you want to document when the damage happened.
The first one was March 23rd, and then the second one was
April 11th.
April 11th.
Yeah. So you want to document the damage date. That way, when you do file a claim, you can reference it back to the date of loss. So there's really, if you don't have any impending further damage, so a leak or something like that, there's not really a benefit necessarily to filing your claim at this point. Simply because, like people that filed on the 23rd,
Right.
if you file the claim on the 23rd, and I've got clients that did this and actually got a check payment and have new damage again now, they've got to file a new claim, and that is subject to a new deductible. So it's a brand new thing. Any subsequent damage from a different event is a different claim. Sometimes an adjuster will look at it and say we can merge these together, but it's not a guarantee. So be careful about when you file those claims. Unless, of course, I know in Wiley, if anyone from Wiley's watching this, some of you guys have holes through the roof, windows out, stuff like that. You obviously need to get that taken care of right away. Mitigate any future damage that you have. So that's rule number one. Is not to get in a real hurry with this unless you absolutely have to.
Right.
If you have to, then obviously you need to get it done. Resources are all taxed right now, from rental car companies to roofing companies to roof manufacturers to tarp companies. You'd be very, very lucky to find
I know
a
ServPro was out a lot last night.
yeah, ServPro's out, but even those guys that do this all the time, that there's not an availability of materials to
Right.
come out. So the guys that do this are even scrambling. So
So are you waiting? Are you telling people if they're calling in, like you said, if they don't have immediate damage, to perhaps wait until maybe June or July until we're done with spring?
that's when I had damage at my home. I won't file a claim until June or July.
Okay.
I have had my roofer come out and look at it and assess the damage, and make sure there wasn't anything,
Right.
that was an immediate concern. But yeah, on a personal note, I won't file my claim until June
And
or
I'm
July.
glad to hear that because I was under the impression you could file the claim now, just don't get the work done until afterwards. But I actually now understand why because of the two deductibles.
Right.
And then the other thing I really think is extremely important, I've heard it time and time and time and time again in the past 2 weeks, is um, in my neighborhood where people are going, oh no, I looked at my roof and it's fine. I promise you, and it's sad because a lot of people think that roofing companies and contractors they bundle them all together and think they're crooks, but the adjuster has the last call. So you don't even if you don't feel comfortable and you don't want a roofer out there because you think of course they're going to say you need a new roof because they want that money, then call your adjuster and get it looked at. But like you said, unless you're having a leak, wait until after the storm
Right.
season.
Once you call the 800 number, you can call your agent. Call your
Right.
insurance agent. Talk
Right.
to them. If I'm your agent, call me. If someone else is your agent, call them.
Right.
Get their opinion. But once once you make the phone call to the claim center,
Right.
you have a claim filed,
Okay.
whether you have damage or not.
Got it.
So once you make that 800 number claim, there's a claim on record.
And that brings me to my next question.
Mm-hmm.
So, what advice are you giving to people right now if their policies are coming up between now and say, their policy's going to come up in next week?
Okay.
Say. What should they not do?
Again, tough question. That's definitely something that we're dealing with here. So whoever has your insurance at the date of loss is basically liable for that damage.
Right.
Okay. So if you had, XYZ company on March 23rd when that happened, and your policy expired on April 1st, and you call in a claim on April 2nd, they're still going to have to pay because they were on it, even if you purchased a new policy and moved away.
Okay.
The problem that comes into play here is what we have right now, where we had two massive storms back to back. So if you take the same scenario, you had a claim, you had damage on the 23rd, your policy ends on April 1st, now we have another storm on April 11th, and you've got a new company, then both companies are going to be trying to put it on the other guys.
Sure.
So you have to be real careful about it. In my opinion, if you're in the middle of a policy period and you have a renewal coming up, I'm probably going to go ahead and file that claim. I'm not going to change carriers when I think there may be damage for a number of reasons. Number one is the new carrier can come out, take a look at the roof, and cancel your policy, say that it's not insurable. So if you've got a policy right now and you think you have damage, my recommendation is against making any changes to your insurance company until you get a claim filed,
Okay.
Whenever that may be.
And then lastly, one thing that I'm concerned about because I sell real estate is, again, I know every company is different. Like you said, you have 365 days or 12 months to
Right.
file your claim. I did hear from an adjuster last week that sometimes, and I guess, again, I'm not in insurance, they may give you 2 years. Is there any flexibility on that 12 months?
Some companies can. Generally, I wouldn't wait beyond 12 months to
Okay.
file it. But yeah, I mean, it's again, that's subjective to the adjuster that comes out.
Okay.
So if you have two different adjusters on the same claim,
Right.
and you're looking at damage from 2 years ago, one can say, yeah, we'll cover it, and one can say, no, we're not.
Okay.
The thing of it is that a lot of it's going to go to what your relationship with the company is. So if you happen to have Safeco, for example, and you've had them for 10 years, and you call someone out because you think you have hail damage, and that damage is 4 or 5 years old, well, they're going to look back, see that you've been in a policy for that period of time, and they're
Okay.
probably going to go ahead and cover it anyway. There's no real way to determine exactly when the damage happened,
Well,
or
here's
it's very
my
difficult.
concern.
Mhm.
So if someone calls me, and I really want to drive home the point, and again, I don't sell insurance. I'm not a roofer. I just sell homes. But if you have a house between West Plano, I had a house that closed in West Plano all the way through Wiley from March 23rd, and now Pilot Point down and over. I think you should call in a claim this summer because my fear is if you call me next year to sell your home and it's June 22nd and you never called a claim in,
Right.
we go under option. Inspector calls out the roof. You got to call your insurance, and the adjuster comes out and says, I don't have a storm date within the last 365 days. That scares me. Does that then go on the seller and they're responsible for paying for the whole new roof?
It could be, yeah.
That's a $20,000 roof.
It could be a huge deal. Fortunately or unfortunately, in our area, there's storm damage almost every year.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, there's going to be some type of storm that you can relate that back to.
Okay.
So maybe it converts to what you just said. I think what I would absolutely do if you're in any of the areas that were affected, and that's a big swath of land. I mean, up into Leonard, I had claims last night. At least have a trusted roofer come out and do an inspection for you.
There you go.
Then you know. If you have someone that you trust from a roofing company that says you have damage, you know you have damage, and you need to address it. And
Okay.
if that's the case, I would address it in the 12-month period.
And if you need a roofer, you can call me at 214-284-1080 or email me at colleenfrost@gmail.com. And thanks again for the advice.
You bet. Thanks for stopping
Awesome.
in.